Hey everybody, welcome back to the Twitter Pated Mama. It is time for book club, and this month I read Love Your Life, Not Theirs by Rachel Cruze, and I hope you read along with me. If not, this might be a book you're interested in picking up because I'm actually really excited to talk about this. So if you're familiar with my channel, you may not be. I've only put up one video where I've talked about mine and my husband's experience with Financial Peace University and following Dave Ramsey's baby steps to get out of debt and change our financial future. This is something that I'm excited about. This is something that I put a lot of my time and energy into. And so I had wanted to read Rachel Cruze's book for a while. And if you don't know, Rachel Cruze is Dave Ramsey's daughter. So her book came out, I think, last year, and I was pretty excited to read it. Love Your Life, Not Theirs. The title really tells you everything you need to know. 7 money habits for living the life you want. And I will start off by saying that if you're like me and you're familiar with Dave Ramsey and you're familiar with his baby steps or Financial Peace University, or you listen to his radio show, I stream it through YouTube all the time, and I just had my husband add it as a skill for our Alexa Echo Dot. And if you're familiar with the principles that Dave Ramsey teaches, there's not going to be a lot in this book that you don't already know. That being said, I don't have a problem with that, because for me, what works is reinforcing that information over and over and over again and keeping my motivation high. When you're climbing out of debt, and we're in baby step 2, so we're still paying off credit card debt and then my student loan, and then we've got a car to pay off. When you're climbing that mountain, it can sometimes feel endless. And I love the bombardment of information. I like hearing the message over and over again. I like hearing from people who have been successful with these principles. She was fortunate enough to grow up in a home that taught her these things from an early age, so she's not made the same mistakes that I have. But if you're familiar with his show, if you're familiar with Financial Peace, there's not a lot of information here that's going to be brand new. But if you're okay with that, it's still a really great read, and it is going to reinforce what you're trying to do. So, some notes that I made about this book. She starts off obviously talking about comparisons, right? Loving your life and not theirs. And she talks about some really common things that I think everybody can relate to, and one of those is social media. We watch people post about their lives, people who may or may not be intimate friends or intimate family, and when we see those things, it's difficult not to compare what other people have, what other people are doing, with what we have and what we're doing. And I know I'm guilty of it for sure, but this really drew my attention to that, because I don't think I was as aware of how often I was comparing my vacation to yours, or my parenting to yours, or my kid's birthday party to yours. I know I've been influenced by the social media accounts of friends and family, people I know, people I knew 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and it's really important that I stop that. And it's going to take practice, and it's going to take being intentional about stopping that. But she really talks about, she goes in depth on experiences she's had and comparing, you know, her vacations to somebody else, and gives you a lot of things to think about with whether or not you are envious or jealous of other people in your life, and the negative impact that that can have on you and on your plan and on your success and on your contentment with your own life. And that's something I think I'm going to continue to be working on, and something all of us probably need to be working on. She talks about steering clear of debt. So I grew up normal. I grew up in a family that used credit cards, that used loans. I took out student loans to go to school. I'm still paying those. And I wish I hadn't. You know, I really intend to teach my children differently. And this book thoroughly explains the dangers of debt, the dangers of credit card, the dangers of loans, and kind of the cycle of a mess you can get into when you live on borrowed money and you are constantly paying it back, because it sucks. It's not any fun. She talks about budgeting, and if you've taken Financial Peace University, Dave Ramsey talks about the fact that in a relationship, in a married relationship, there's normally a nerd and a free spirit, and there's normally a saver and a spender. And I happen to be the saver nerd, and it's fine. I own that. Budgeting is exciting to me. I love it. I love our little Excel spreadsheet that we use to keep track of what money we have in the account, where that money's going. So I love it. It keeps me organized. It makes me feel like I'm in control. And she really delves into that part about budgeting in this book. And I think a lot of people think about budgets as a big fat no. You know, I'm on a budget, so I can't buy that, or I'm in a budget, so I can't go out to eat. When in fact, if you're doing a budget and you're being conscious about where you want your money to go, there's a whole lot of yes in a budget. It may not be the things you impulsively want to do, but there's a whole lot of yes. You know, my husband and I have been following this plan since July of 2016, I want to say. Maybe that's, yeah, I think that's right. And I have some new clothing items. I have some new shoes items. I've gone out to dinner. You know, we aren't as gazelle intense as Dave suggests you should be to get yourself out of debt, but we're doing it in a way that works for us, works for our marriage, and works for our family right now. So I do love her tips on budgeting. She's not a person that loves the budget, but she grew up doing this and she sees the benefits of it. And if you can see the benefit of something, you're much more likely to do it whether you enjoy it or not. Saving and generosity is the last couple notes I'm gonna make on this book. Saving was never a concept for me. I'm a natural saver, however, I wasn't saving for the right things. I would get real motivated about saving for a trip to Disneyland, or real motivated about saving money for Christmas shopping, even though we would still put things on credit cards. But I wasn't ever really saving for the rainy day. I had a credit card in case of emergencies. I definitely wasn't saving very much for retirement. In fact, I used retirement money for various things that we needed to do, including staying home for maternity leave with my youngest son. I wish I knew then what I know now, but I don't and I can't go back. I can only move forward. But she does give a lot of information about ways to save, things to save for, and kind of just delves into this topic that I didn't practice for a very long time. And then lastly, giving, you know, giving money. I feel like I came from a very generous family. I watched them give, you know, and that has become one of the most important and most exciting things about our budget is looking for those opportunities in our community, in our own family sometimes, within our friends, and causes that we're really passionate about, and making sure that there's a giving line on our budget so that we're not keeping everything and we're using the money for good. So if you're a fan of Dave Ramsey, if you're familiar or you're following the baby steps, I would recommend highly this book. I enjoyed it. It was a quick read for me just because I was so interested. She's a good writer. I think she's adorable and endearing, and I love watching her when she's on Dave Ramsey's show and her own show on YouTube. So definitely check this out. Tell me what you thought about it. If you've read this book or if you are familiar with Dave Ramsey, please comment below and let me know what your favorite part of this book was, or what has been the most challenging of the baby steps for you. I think most of us can agree baby step 1, you get excited, you get that done pretty quickly, but moving into 2, it's rough. You know, you're on a tight budget. All of your extra money is going to debt, and it's not easy, but it's going to be worth it. I know it is. So comment down below. Don't forget to hit like before you leave. This is a book club that I haven't really figured out exactly how quickly I can read books. It really just depends on everything else I have going on in life. So I was kind of setting this up to do one a month, but it may be a little bit quicker than that, so I'm not exactly going to set a date on the next one. But our next book is going to be featured right up here. This book is called Mothers of Sparta. It's by Dawn Davies, and I actually was walking through Barnes & Noble, and this was one of the books that was turned out on the shelf, and I picked it up and was like, this looks really interesting. And I guess I'm kind of in a theme of nonfiction books so far for my book club, but again, if you have recommendations or books that you'd like me to read so that we can read together, please comment and leave those titles down below, and I will absolutely consider having those in my next book club. But for next time, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be Mothers of Sparta. So if you're interested in reading that, it does look very, very interesting. I did see a clip with the author on the Today Show, or with Megyn Kelly. I don't watch that regularly, but it was on YouTube, and so I did watch that, and it seems very interesting. So it's called a memoir in pieces, so it's essay style. Bits and pieces of her life and her struggles and things that she's been through. So should be a good one. Again, hit like if you enjoyed things like this, and I will see you next time. Bye.